Beat That Team Up North week. What's good, everybody? How y'all feeling? Y'all better be good. Y'all better be excited like I am. Listen, do me a favor. Hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button. If you have not subscribed, why not? You're here every night anyway. Hit that button. Hit the bell notification. Wherever we go live, it'll let you know on your device of your choice. Also, please consider subscribing to the Apple podcast and giving us a 5-star review. Simple, easy, quick. Helps us out a ton, a lot. So please consider that. We're going to be talking about, obviously, the Ohio State Team Up North game. But specifically, we're going to lead with the J.J. Smith and Carnell Tate updates. We do got some stuff for y'all. I think that's the number one thing on people's minds right now, rightfully so. And so we're going to talk about that. Also, remember, when you send your lovely super chats that we greatly appreciate because y'all bring the heat with the comments all the time, helps to go towards the Pay It Forward, which is our military, our first responders. You know, we're going to look out for them because they always look out for us. And let me bring in the boy Funky Buck. What's up, brother? I know you.
What's up? What's up, B? I'm doing good. It's a great day to be here with y'all. Ohio State is 11-0 for the the 13th straight season where we've had at least 11 wins. B. 13 straight full season. The only season in the last 14 years we haven't had 11 wins was the COVID year, which we didn't play.
Okay, COVID.
We didn't even play 11 games, so that's not even really fair to say. So what an amazing time to be a Buckeye fan. We're the reigning national champs, and it's that time again. It's hate week. It's the Team Up North week, and I cannot wait to watch that game. You know, it's the first time that I'm able to watch the Ohio State-Michigan game on my television since 2019, B.
Why is that?
I was at the game last year. I had state championships the year before that, state championships the year before that, state championships the year before that, and then I had COVID for that year. So I've not been able to watch the game at home since 2019. So I'll be doing my yearly at-home tradition where we put these like dough balls in a pan, B, and put oil on it and make it like self-made donuts and then roll it in like cinnamon. And we do that every time Ohio State plays Michigan when it's, at Ann Arbor where we don't go. When it's in Columbus, I'll be there, always will be there when I can. So, but when it on the road, banned from Ann Arbor, so don't go.
Yeah, that's good tradition. And I remember you telling me a while ago when we were doing shows that you had stuff going on with the track for years. So yeah, this is great. I mean, now you can watch on TV and unfortunately hear Gus and Joe Klatt sound real stupid and one-sided and goofy, but still get to watch the game, which is a good thing. Here is my Beat the Team Up North week meme I made. I call them the skunks, skunk weasels. I know some people was like, man, why you do Pepe Le Pew like that? I love Pepe. I love Pepe too, but the point is he's a skunk. He represents skunks, and that's what they are up north. But yes, listen, we're going to get right into it. We're going to talk about this update. Funky has the goods. Listen, before we get into it, we've been telling you this for a while now, okay? So it's been some wild takes, Funky. I've seen some wild takes online about Tate and JJ, and just a lot of it is just butthurt and defense mechanism and cope of their worst fears, but they have no idea what they're talking about. Let's get it right into the update, Funky.
Yeah, I mean, as always, I texted my guy after the game Saturday, and I was like, so we're still thinking J.J. Smith and Carnell Tate are going to play? And he just gave me the straight-up answer. He said, 100% they're playing. And then I asked him, I said, so why is Ryan Day being kind of weird? Like, why is he being kind of cryptic? Because he is. Ryan Day's been kind of cryptic, a little weird, giving, Ohio State fans some anxiety. And he was like, Funky, that's literally the purpose. He's doing that on purpose. He's playing this little cat and mouse game with Michigan, with Sharon Moore, with, really all the Big Ten rivals of Indiana. And they all know what they're doing. It's just hard to go out there and say, hey, we're load managing. Because these guys both could have played last week. It's just no reason to play them in a game where we're 31-point favorites and we end up covering the spread, even without our two best wide receivers and two people who'd be taken in the top 10 in this year's draft. So this like persona that Ryan Day is having right now is all purposeful. He knows that they're good. He knows that they're playing. The guys know that they're playing. I didn't need any more confirmation, but hearing Brandon Innes interview after the game was key to me. They straight up asked him, like, "Oh, they're gonna be good," and he was like, "Yeah, no, the boys will be ready to go." Everyone knows it's kind of an open secret within Ohio State that the guys are ready to go, and this is like, they had real injuries, but they're being on the safer, more precautionist side. So obviously, do I still have a little bit of anxiety of their game status? Yeah, I mean, I would be lying to say I don't, because injuries are never 100% sure thing. But everything that I've been told and everything that's been online leads me to believe that we should see both of them Saturday. We should see both of them Saturday with an ankle. I'm being told Carnell Tate has an ankle injury. I've been told that since day one, so I'm going to stick with that. He has an ankle injury. I heard calf elsewhere, but I was always told ankle, so that I'm gonna report for myself that it's an ankle injury. And then JJ Smith, just a little bit tight in the quads, or yeah, quad strain, growing strain. That's what it is. Sorry, growing strain. A little bit of a growing strain for JJ, but both should be ready to go. And then also for Lorenzo Styles, I heard that he just got his shoulder popped back in place, and he was seen without a sling or without any sort of medical equipment on him, and he was able to do all the post senior day activities that a normal senior would do, like go to dinner with your family, hang with everyone around you, be with your loved ones. And I heard he had no problem doing that and didn't really look uncomfortable when he was there. And so he should be fine for the Michigan game. So yeah, so that all positive updates. And trust me, I'm not trying to be Mr. Sunshine Pumper. I just can be told. I can only report what I'm being told. And that's what I'm being told. And I look forward to the game because I trust in my sources. I trust in what I'm being told. And yeah, it's gonna be good if we're healthy for this game. It's gonna be scary for the opposing team. I'll tell you that.
Yes, it is. It's funny when you mention Lorenzo Styles. I thought about one of my old homeboys I used to play with. He had a similar issue where his shoulder would pop out of socket and he'll be in pain, and you just pop it back in and he'd be right back out there playing like nothing happened. That's just funny. I thought of my dude. But that's good to hear about Styles, because seeing him on the field initially, it did not look good. It looked concerning. So that's definitely good, great to hear. And also with JJ Smith, I know people, there was a video of him on the sideline, walking a little gimpy. And again, the explanation for that, as we've said, like there's different types of injuries. Like with an Achilles tendon that people are trying to say this is a JSN situation. No, it's not. The Achilles tendon is one of the worst soft tissue injuries you can have because it's unpredictability of strain and where it's at. That's different than what these boys are dealing with. For one, are you concerned about re-aggravating injuries whenever you have them or making them worse? Sure, of course you are. But just because you're walking a little gingerly doesn't mean you can't play, because that's why they have trainers, treatment, different things to get you loose for the game, to where it may be tight, but it's still functional. It's not structural. So anyway, I'm not a doctor, but I've played sports all my life. I've had injuries. I've dealt with stuff, and it's just basic knowledge. So the point is, the plan has always for them to play. I also want to bring one thing out for clarity about load management, because load management, some people interpret it as, oh, they're 100% healthy, like LeBron. Like, oh, we're just going to sit LeBron tonight because, take some shots off the body. He could play. He's fine. This isn't like that. They, like Funky said, they were dinged up. They were nicked and they were dinged. So the load management term is more so for no need to rush them back when we don't need them against Rutgers. That's the load management. That's what we mean by that. So, yeah, they could have played. Remember, Ryan Day, and all these terrible takes online, Funky, as I end this, is that, oh, this is another JSN situation, and he's opting out. Ryan Day said he could have played against Purdue if we needed him. Like, unless we suggest Ryan Day was lying, then he could have played. So it's like, why risk, making things worse when we don't need him for these scrimmages? Get him ready for the team up north game and beyond. Because remember, we beat the team up north. We go to Indy. It's the stretch run. It's hardware time, is what they keep saying. Excuse me. They know that. So I'm just trying to really paint the picture for y'all on and elaborate on what Funky was providing for as far as information goes to kind of let y'all know, man, it's cool. Listen, the only thing we're concerned about, knock on wood, is an aggravation or re-aggravation of the injury during practice this week. Let's pray nothing happens. But barring that, we good to go. That is the update, Funky.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. They had real injuries. They weren't fake injuries or we're just resting them for the game. That's not what I'm trying to say. And I know that's that's what I mean. Sorry, long travel day. Be my bad. Words a little jumbly today, but they're real injuries and they could have played. But could have played doesn't mean they should play.
Right.
Doesn't mean you're an athlete and you have competitiveness, so you could play through a lot of injuries that you probably shouldn't play through. But they're both cleared to play. So I'll say that they're both cleared to play, and you only really play in certain games when you have certain injuries, and this game is one of them. It's you're going to show up if you're healthy enough to play. You're going to play, and both these guys are going to be healthy enough to play, bearing some re-aggravation during the practice this week, because they've both been running routes on air for the last couple of weeks, so that they're keeping fresh. That was per the Oracle. They're keeping fresh, keeping good, keeping in rhythm with saying, so they can show up to Ann Arbor where it's going to be pretty cold. I heard it's a high of 35 right now on the weather apps, with chances of rain or chances of snow or chances of something. So it's not going to be warm. It's not going to be bright. So they're going to need to be able to block, stay warm, get on that bike, keep their tendons warm, keep them ready to go to be able to win this game. Because this is probably our biggest test since the Texas game. And the Texas game, it counts as in it was definitely a good win and had so much hype behind it. But no one really knew what was going to happen. We had no idea how the seasons were going to pan out. So if you go since that game, I would say this is probably our biggest test of the year, looking back at the season, going into Ann Arbor versus a team that's, they're catching fire offensively at the right time. Seems like their passing attack has picked up a little bit. Then clearly their defense has been good the majority of the year. Their rush defense, especially, and their pass rush has been okay, but their pass defense definitely questionable. Then you go in Ann Arbor, on obviously the rivalry, so you're going to get Michigan's best shot. It'll be good. I'm excited because this could really be the turning of a new leaf, not just for this rivalry, but for the perception that we have on Ryan Day. Because right now, Ryan Day is 1-4 versus Michigan, and I'll tell you right now, 2-4 sounds a lot better than 1-5. So I really look forward to see what the Buckeyes are going to do on Saturday, because it's not program changing as Ryan Day is going to get fired if we lose this game, but if he wins this game and goes on to win another national title, he's going to be in talks of, the greatest head coach of Ohio State history. And he's going to be if you're one of the greatest coaches in Ohio State history, then you're going to start getting talked about being one of the greatest coaches of all time, period, point blank end. But he really won't be in those conversations unless he has a magical year this year, which has to include beating Michigan, because he already did everything else. So he's got to do it all. Everything else, plus beat Michigan, plus win the Big Ten title, and then go back to back. That'd be an absolutely legendary performance and one of the greatest coaching jobs of all time if you add everything into it. Add transfer portal, NIL, losing 15 players or 16 players to the NFL, sorry, because I'm counting those 2 undrafted free agent guys, losing your defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator, promoting from within for offensive, and then going and getting, Matt Patricia, who, like it or not, was a very questionable hire from the outwards perspective. That could have gone a few different ways. I know me and you like the hire, and we believed in the hire, and a lot of Buckeye Nation did, but also a lot of Buckeye Nation didn't. So that was a little bit of risky on that sense. And so far, so good. But next step is Saturday, B, and he's got to get it done. Got to get it done.
Agreed. A few things to say to that. I want to read this quote from Ryan Day. I'm reading it because on the thread there's several different takes. It's like it's all over the place. The opinions of the quote is just like how like y'all like on like way different spectrums. So the chat, viewers, the chat, Funky, let me know what y'all think of this quote. How does it make you feel? Because I was a little surprised at the all over the placeness of the people responding. So here it is. This is posted by Chase Brown, Ryan Day on Michigan. Here's the quote. They're always in the back of our mind in terms of what we're working toward, Day said. We know this is the last game of the year and what it means to everybody here. It doesn't take long in the fourth quarter once the game was in hand for everybody to start figuring out this thing is coming fast. There was just a good look in everybody's eye in the locker room, man. We're excited about this one. Just need to focus on what really matters. And that's everybody doing their job and going on the road in what's going to be a great environment and going to get it done. That will be the focus. We will continue to do all year. Have a great week. Focus on that day. We got to be at our best. Now, I got more to say, Funky, but I want you to respond. I want you to cut in and tell me how that quote makes you feel. And then I'm going to get back to my responding to what you said.
I think to add on to that quote, I'll just add on to what he's saying. We moved our tradition. Usually we really put an emphasis on this week, and we do all these cool traditions like with the band during this week, the game, the game week. But instead we moved it to the second bye week. And that was extremely purposeful. So I believe that treating this game as quote unquote more or less like every other game has to be actually taken into the fact for this game, because sometimes your emotions can get the best of you. You can get caught up in the moment. You can start, trying to play down to their level, even though we are immensely better and immensely more talented. And we should have, obviously we all know we should have kicked the crap out of them last year. That's undebatable. Should have happened. Didn't happen. We played down on their level. We played their game of football. So I think that quote just makes me realize that Ohio State's going into this thinking, hey, we got to play. If we play our brand of football, we're going to win this game 99 out of 100 times. 90 out of 100 times we're going to win this game if we play our brand of football. If we start trying to play their brand of football and get caught up in their antics and get caught up in thinking this is bigger than it actually is, then we're going to be a chance to get snake bitten and lose this football game.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. And some people were upset about moving the traditions and stuff, but I think just hearing them speak in the interviews, they're basically like, listen, man, let's keep this routine works for us. The consistency of our routine and our game planning and how our week goes. Even the press conference usually changes to Monday. They're keeping it at Tuesday like it normally is throughout the season this year. Everything will be the same. And yeah, so they know it's a big game, but they're also trying to make sure they're just doing their routine with the things that work for them to be the most prepared. And so that's what it really boils down to. All the talk, this game is the biggest, and trying to make us, appease the people to let them know you understand the rivalry. He clearly understands the rivalry, regardless of what some of y'all think, okay? They're going to do whatever they feel makes the most sense to be the most prepared. And so that's kind of where that's coming from. And so I agree with that. And so a couple little notes here. I wanted to talk about this matchup. So there's been some points made by a few. For those who say, oh, well, Buckeye Scoop, y'all don't know nothing, and you don't know nothing about Tate and JJ, whatever. Okay, if you don't believe us, fine. Cool. There's one observation that I thought was logical for those who just don't believe, and, well, he was limping or whatever. So there's been a point made, Funky, that if the coaches knew that Tate and JJ just couldn't go, like it was a wrap, they weren't going, or the chances were low, that you would have got Graham more touches. You would have played Quincy Porter, who could have played. Okay, I know that's what we were told. He could have played too, but Little Ding saved him too, because he's going to actually play in the game. So get your two next best guys the reps. Get them the reps to get them prepared for a big game next week. We didn't do that. Our leading receiver was freaking David Adolph. No disrespect. You made a few nice catches, David. Congrats to you. Senior day. Salute. But the point is, nobody heard of David Adolph before then. It was clearly a scrimmage. There was no panic to, let's get the next guys up, more reps so they can get ready for Ann Arbor. No, like that wasn't the case. I think that's a great observation by those saying that. just to kind of add on, like what we're telling you, it's always been the case that they're going to play. And so it's just silly because Funky, I'm really pushing back on this because you heard a lot of takes about, oh, he's holding out for NIL. He's opted out to go to the NFL. Or, it's JSN and it's worse than they think. It's an Achilles. And so he's not going to play for the rest of the year. All these goofy takes. And so, of course, Buckeye fans are already nervous and on edge because of that game. And so they hear this stuff and they take it and gobble it up and they run with it. And so we're just trying to really push back at that with just facts, logic, and sources. So, Funky, I know you want to respond.
Yeah, you're absolutely right in that take, as in if we really need to get these wide receivers ready to go and get Mylan Graham in and Quincy Porter in, or Quincy Porter was dinged up. I also heard Quincy is playing as well. But, especially Mylan Graham, who seemingly has been the next man up in our wide receiver room all year. He's been getting the opportunities. He's made, a few untimely drops, but he's a young kid. He can get better in that sense. But all those takes about Carnell and Nil and all that stuff is just so frustrating because you know how much money Carnell Tate passed up to play at Ohio State this year? Yeah. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. And guess what? He's not a for sure top 10 pick in the draft if he just sits out with an injury. That's not a guaranteed. That's a kind of a big red flag for his character, for his health. It's a big red flag for all these things. The best thing he could do is continuing to have a dream season like he's having, playing himself into the semifinalist for the Blicknikoff. He could be an All-American. And he also wants to just win football games. He's a competitor. He's an athlete, he's a competitor, and he's a Buckeye, and he wants to win back-to-back national championships for the first time in Ohio State history. This is not a money thing for him. He's already made, multi-seven figures here at Ohio State, and he's already locked himself into, at worst, at very, very, very worst, a late first-round pick, which is a millions of dollars contract and a 5-year contract. So I promise you this is not any money questions or anything about that. And it's just funny because obviously we have a lot of guys on the board, a lot of people who work for the Scoop on the board, or Nevada himself really, who knows these agents well. I mean, Nevada's been part of pro sports and been part of these agencies for 30 plus years. So he knows how this game's worked, and he could guarantee you, just like any logical person can guarantee you, that this is not a holdout by Carnell Tate. It's just not, but just silly because people could claim victory about that until he actually plays.
Right.
So, and once he plays, he's like, oh, they must have matched his nil. But no, we fully expect him to play Saturday, bearing any real issues during this week. But everything's being told, everything should run good, and we should see him Saturday, and then we can start clowning on him. But then people will be like, oh, but he was limited, and blah blah blah. Who knows? But I feel very confident knowing that he's going to play, and he's going to play to the best of his capabilities, and we should win the game, and maybe he'll just be the one planting the flag at the end of the game.
Man, listen,
I'm just kidding. Yeah.
I know. I saw the flag planting comment. Let them lames plant flags, man. We didn't do that before. Like, let them lames act like they've never been there before. You know what I'm saying? So, I just keep seeing the planting the flag comments. But real quick, which is it's sort of a off trail, but not really. We talked about Carnell Tate and his draft status and everything. So listen, Carnell Tate is already dope. He's already being drooled over by scouts. But we lost Funky for a second. You know how if a school and a position at a school is doing so well, the NFL GMs are like, yo, we want to get in that pipeline. Here you go, Funk. I got you back.
My bad.
No, you good. So what I was saying is that I'm looking at these updates from Jackson Smith and Jigba. Excuse me. He has the most receiving yards by a Seahawk in a single season, 1,309. DK Metcalf is 1,303. Then Steve Largent, 1,287, and so on. J.S. Sid is absolutely killing it in the league. I mean, we're not surprised because he was a dog here before he got injured. But I'm saying Carnell Tate and these other receivers, understand that Hartline and Devin Jordan, and I'm going to keep saying Devin Jordan because he's a key cog. He's very important to this receiver room. He just don't get enough love. That receiving room in this program, just the receivers come in, even if they're 5 stars. I forget who said it. Another analyst, a not Ohio State analyst, said they come in here and they get even better. You know what I'm saying? They get developed. And the NFL GMs keep saying, yo, like, look at how they run their routes. Look at how they handle their business. Look at how mature they are on and off the field. Ibuka, I didn't even mention Ibuka. He's killing it. So I'm saying that to say, Funky makes great points. That Carnell Tate, it doesn't line up with his character and his track record to suggest that he's shutting it down and just saying, oh, I don't care about my brothers on the team. I'm going to be selfish and just not play because I'm concerned about my draft status. That couldn't be further from the truth. So definitely wanted to bring that out. I got a couple other things, but Funky, you want to respond to that?
Yeah, first, because it's the first thing on my mind. If Carnell Tate really did that, you know how what Ryan Day would do to him, what Ohio State would do to him? Tell him to get the heck out of here. Kick him off the team. I'm serious. And that's been proven over and over again in this new NIL era. Like, that would go against every single thing that this team and Ryan Day and Mark Pantoni have stood for at Ohio State. They just would. But he would never do such a thing. So I just hate that people are even accusing him of this thing, because Carnell Tate is a high-character, hard-working kid who is sole goal, or not sole goal, but one of his biggest goals is to make the NFL and be the best wide receiver he possibly can be and sign a $200 million contract in the NFL. I mean, and you talk about JSN. Why are people not talking about JSN for MVP, B? He's on one of the best teams in the NFL. He's the best player on the best team in the NFL, and he's going to put up statistically the greatest wide receiver season of all time. So he's going to break the receiving yards record. He's going to be up there in touchdowns, be up there in receptions, and he should be the MVP. There's no quarterbacks this year that, in my opinion, really deserve it. There's some quarterbacks that are obviously playing good football, but no one that's really having seasons I'm like, wow. But I really do think JSN should win the MVP, and I'm going to stand by that. And I hate the Seahawks. I absolutely hate the Seahawks. They gave me so much pain in my early or like mid 2000s, 2000 teens while they were against the Packers. So trust me, I'm not a fan of the Seahawks, and I don't want to give them credit, but I got to give credit to the Buckeye, the Texas 5-star JSN, who should be in the MVP conversation with Myles Garrett, by the way. So two of the greatest seasons that we're ever going to watch. And a credit to Brian Hartline, and also credit to JSN, because it takes a certain type of kid to go to Ohio State. Yeah. And he's that type of kid, because you also have to buy in. So you can credit the staff all you want, but someone's got to do the work, and someone's got to buy in, and someone's got to want to go to Ohio State. And there's other distractions elsewhere, and USC or Oregon, hypothetically. And it takes a little bit of a different kid to say no to USC and say no to Oregon and go to Ohio State. A little bit tea leaf reading there, B, you can do. So. Yeah,
no, for sure. Real quick, I thought this was funny from Colonel Ingus 69. He said, remember, it's turf on top of concrete. If you want to plant a flag, you better take a Christmas tree stand or something. I thought that was funny. Yeah, chat always cooking per usual. So one other thing, well, actually a couple other things, and then we can get the super chats in a minute, but I wanted to bring this up, and I've been saying this, okay? Matt Patricia, there's several reasons why I'm confident about winning this game in Ann Arbor. He is probably at the top of the list, or one of the top of the list items. And so the stat is between 1936 and 2025, this is the first time Ohio State's defense has held its opponent under 100 rushing yards in 10 straight games. This defense, y'all, is just, it's like you just put everything else to the side. You know how you kind of debate in your mind as you get ready for a matchup, what makes you feel good, what makes you nervous. This defense makes me feel good, Funky. This defense gives me a warm, rosy feeling going up to any stadium. Ann Arbor, it don't matter. I don't care who we're playing. And so defense travels is the mantra. Y'all know the deal. But I'm excited to see what Matt Patricia cooks up. I'm excited to see this defense get after Underwood. They're going to try to let him throw. They're going to try to let him throw downfield and occasionally, and they're going to take their shots. And also, I think he's going to be wildly confused by what we do up front and how we use Reese and Caleb Downs. And it's just, listen, I know Julian saying throwing the ball against their suspect secondary that has holes in it is a delicious thought as well. But I tell you, man, oh boy, I'm just really wondering how they're going to consistently move the ball against this defense. So before I say anything else, did you want to respond to that, Funk?
I mean, you're spot on. They're going to have a rough time moving the ball versus this defense, just like every other team has. Yeah, but while we're out talking about Michigan a little bit, shout out JJ McCarthy for the dubsicle today. 9 has thrown 10 interceptions in his 6 games, and it's beautiful because it shows that what goes around comes around eventually. So yeah, but I can go on that forever, so we can just go on the next.
Listen, I'm not even going to hold y'all. I'm extremely happy that JJ McCarthy is showing. What was the quote from he said the Bears are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook. Like JJ McCarthy is who we thought he was. And so it's just funny because, again, I told y'all weeks ago, I started a thread on my Buckeye Sports Talk with Moses page, Funk. I made a meme of Uncle Rico, and I had a burning trash can with JJ McCarthy's stats against the Bears in the first half, whatever. All these Michigan fans came through in the second half, because he had to come back in the second. It was mainly driven by their run game. He made a couple throws, but they came back like, you a-hole, see, you look. No, he's still garbage. He's still trash, and they have not said anything since. So I'm extremely happy that he's just revealing who he really is. The Vikings were duped into drafting him. He's not very good. And the whole 9 persona and him getting all fired up is just the lamest thing in the world. And it's hilarious. And so there you go with that. I'm glad you brought him up. Funky. Now, we can transition to Super Chats in a minute, but I wanted to say something about Michigan fans and even ask y'all, like, listen, we got a mixture. Most of them are talking reckless, 5 in a row incoming, and trying to put on, in my opinion, which is a false bravado, fake persona. I don't think most of them are as confident as they let off. What they're clinging to is some magic from what happened last year, which to me was an extreme outlier of the different things. Again, I'm the one who's watched the game 13 times. All right. I've rewatched the game, literally every play, like an idiot, just reliving the game, breaking it down, seeing what actually happened. The amount of things that came together for that loss to occur was just crazy. But the Michigan fans are hoping that something like, because they know, just logically, they know they're overmatched. But they say, well, we overmatched last year. So they're hoping for that magic from last year, that fluky magic on their end. So there's that. But then I've been noticing, Funky, and chat, people viewing, I've been noticing some of them are walking out some excuses to get out in front of it. They're saying stuff like, there was one comment, it says, they're talking about young team. They're saying, you guys should beat us. We have a young team this year. So, they're going to lean on the excuse, once they do hold the L, is, well, we had a young team and blah, 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 blah. Hold them to the fire. All right. No. Beginning of the year, Portnoy, Steve Diaz, Taylor Lewan, whoever else, all your big-time media folk was talking about how we lost all these players from the draft. We had to get all these new coordinators, like Funky said in the beginning, all our deficiencies, new starting quarterback, small, Julian Sanders, a little guy, unproven. We're going to have multiple losses. They're going to be back in the playoffs, all that other stuff. That's what y'all led the season with. So I don't want to hear that now. Okay? Receipts, and we're going to hold you to the fire on that. I just wanted to bring that back out, Funky, because they think they slick.
Yeah, I mean, you're totally right on that one again, D. It's just and we just hold ourselves to a different standard. So that's the end of the day. That's how you can answer that question. It's just the standard at Ohio State is a lot higher than the standard at Michigan is, and it's been that way for the last 20 years minimum. One could argue longer, but I'd say minimum 20 years. That's been the standard here at Ohio State, that if you're not winning 11 games, if you're not winning at least minimum, if the season doesn't go a minimum of double-digit wins plus a win versus Michigan, then it was a failure of a season. If you have 9 wins and you didn't beat Michigan, total failure of a season. Even if you have 10 wins and you don't beat Michigan, most people would consider that a total failure of a season. So there's a standard here is different, and our expectation for our team is always going to be higher, even though we lost, like we said, 16 players to the NFL, our offense coordinator and defensive coordinator, and look better. Hard to do, hard to look better, but it's easy to do when you're at Ohio State and you have, the best supporting cast around you in the staff room, in the weight room, the most high character players, one can say the smartest players too, with the 100% academic progression rate here at Ohio State, only tied with Harvard. So you could argue that Ohio State just in itself as a program is just almost unbreakable at this point, to be honest with you. One player doesn't make Ohio State. One coach doesn't make Ohio State. It's Ohio State that makes Ohio State. It's everything combined. It's the people involved. It's the donors. It's the strength and conditioning coach. It's everything. So the second a selfish player would come in here and think that he's making Ohio State, he's going to leave and realize that Ohio State's going to go on without you. Going without you, no matter who. And that goes with all of them. We're going to lose J.J. Smith here in 2 years, and odds are we're not going to miss a beat. Odds are we're going to come back and win 11 games and make it to the semifinals again. So it's just different here at Ohio State. And I think that when people say that stuff about us and compare them to, Michigan, they don't get it. Or even if they do get it, then it's whatever. It's just low IQ talk right there. And just clown behavior, because we're going to go in there, we're going to beat them, and we're going to send them back to the 20th ranked like they should be. And they got really fortunate that they had a really, really easy schedule. I mean, extremely easy schedule. Their best win is what? Is their best win at Nebraska, who just got smacked by Penn State. So interesting best win there by Michigan, 3-point win. But yeah, so that's my take. It's just different here at Ohio State, B.
It's definitely different. You nailed that, brother. And so real quick, I'll put the comment from Dev on the screen. Again, Buckeye fans, Scoop fam, Buckeye Nation, I want to remind y'all, you talking about holding their feet to the fire? Always remind them that they cheated. Always. Well, you in Michigan State, you're the only one that got wins vacated. Tattoos. If what they did happened today, they get nothing because it's called NIL. All right. So just because they got wins vacated for cooperating, unlike Michigan did, let me remind y'all, just because they didn't get the punishments they were required to get, we've went over this, does not exonerate them. They cheated. We do not acknowledge 21 through 23. Justin Spiro, a Michigan State fan, he brought out a great post talking about why would you acknowledge that? We don't acknowledge that. When you ask other college football fan bases, it doesn't matter who it is. Look in the comments. They don't acknowledge that. Ryan Day will be 2-1 against them after he beats them in Ann Arbor this week. That's my take. Those three games, you cheated. We don't acknowledge it. So hold their feet to the fire. Always remind them, never let it go, because it was egregious and they deserve all that smoke for not acknowledging what their program did. And you didn't get off. Your AD, you got off in the sense that we wanted to see, the bowl bans that they were required to receive according to the level of their infractions. But your AD has been whining and complaining about that $30 million. Like, y'all still got the highest level of sanctions, all the show causes. Like, just go look at the report. It's trash. It's not even comparable to what Ohio State did with the tack gate and even Michigan State. But the rule is, do not cooperate with the NCAA. Destroy evidence, throw it in a lake, whatever you got to do. That is the way to go. That's the message. But hold their feet to the fire. All right? Just want to remind y'all of that. Go ahead, Funky, before we get into super chats.
Michigan was running already on a $27 million deficit for their athletics this year due to the new revenue sharing, upping the budget for, upping their cost, which lowers their revenue or, whatever, puts them more in a deficit because they're spending more money. So they're already running on a $27 million deficit, and then you add in the 30 million, over 30 million, by the way. So we can softly assume that they're going to be in a $60 million deficit this athletic season. And don't think that doesn't matter. That 100% matters. You can ask yourself, why aren't they playing that game overseas next year anymore? It's like, oh, maybe because they want to, add that extra home game. And also, Sharon Moore's suspended for that game next year too, by the way. So and also if you read what Ward Manuel, I listened to what he had to say about the whole Michigan punishment. He took accountability. He was like, we should not have been anywhere here. We screwed up. Obviously, he should fight for his team, and he fought for the punishment that he deemed to be the best for his school, which is no vacational wins and no postseason ban. But he had to take on that $30 million fine, and he's not happy. No one around Michigan's happy because someone's got to foot that bill. And with the world of college athletics, where sports are getting so expensive, where teams have to give 20 more scholarships to the football team, which means they have to give 20 more to the women's soccer team, which adds an extra $3 million, whatever, to the budget every year. And you have to beg donors for this money. It's painful, and it's just going to get hard. So maybe Michigan football might not feel it, but the athletic department as a whole and the other Olympic sports at Michigan, I guarantee you they're not happy. I guarantee you the coach for Michigan and the hockey coach and the soccer coach and the non-revenue sport coaches are pissed because they're like, wow, that's money coming out of our pockets at the end of this day because the football team hired this rogue staffer who got caught in this proven cheating scheme. So proven and talked about. So I mean, whatever. Yeah, but next.
Yep, for sure. And the last thing I'll say before we get to super chats is that even with the vacated wins, remember, go watch the Zoom call. The COI person, the chick, I forget her name, she corrected. Somebody was asking a question. She made the correction. She said the vacation of wins, they didn't go down that path, not because it just wasn't on the table. They destroyed evidence. So they couldn't confirm the depth. They confirmed that there was competitive advantage according to the report, which is like, that's bad enough. That's confirmation that you gained a competitive advantage with this scheme. And if you didn't, why would you put all this money and time and KGB into it if you could just get it off of the freaking All 22 film, which is garbage? I watch All 22 film. You can't get that off of All 22 film. Anyway, the point is the destroying of evidence really hindered getting to the bottom of the depth and totality of the cheating. The cheating was confirmed, but that's the reason. So don't let scum fans get that off on y'all. Okay. Most people haven't read the report like we have. Like, we read up on stuff to make sure we're informed on it. Read the report. All right. So we can actually move on to super chats. All right. Mark, what's up? Mark from Dub C. Thanks for being a Scoop Ultra member. Thanks for the $4.99. Does anyone remember the last time an OSU tight end had a 100-yard game? I don't think Stover has. I thought it was back in the 90s. Why am I forgetting his name? He played basketball and football.
That was the last time? And no way that hadn't happened recently. No way that hasn't happened more recently than that.
100 yards? I don't know. Let me see.
Did Jeremy Rucker never get 100 yards?
I don't think so, man. I don't think so. Let me see. I'm trying to Google real fast.
It was probably some random tight end.
Either Jan White, John Frank,
Ricky Dudley.
Ricky Dudley. That's who I was thinking about. But I don't know if Google's going to tell me the last Ohio State tight end that got 100 yards.
I'll post that on the board. Well, I'll post it in the board, and we'll get an answer.
All right, cool. We gonna circle back. Let me see if it says something real quick. To get gain 100 yards. I'm just curious because that's a good question, but we just haven't really. Let me see. The last Ohio State tight end to gain 100 yards was Max Clare. Before that, man.
They're saying Jeff Howerman. Jeff Howerman.
Howerman got 100.
They said in 2013.
What?
That's what the chat's saying. I honestly don't even know who he is. So I don't know.
Yeah, Jeff Hireman. He was more of a blocking tight end. Who said Hireman? That's crazy. We gonna get back to this. That's crazy. Nah, Stilly, man. I'll be shocked if it was Jeff Hireman. But we'll get back to it. We'll get back to it for the sake of time. All right, great question, Mark. See, they always, man, always some great content. Mickey, thank you so much for the 1999 and just the support and the love coming through. Greatly appreciate you so much, Funky. You got anything on Mickey's super chat?
Thank you, Mickey. We always appreciate you. You always show up with me and BR on the show, so I appreciate you, and always good to see you here. Yeah, a man or woman, a few words, but we appreciate the support.
Yeah, Mickey always held it down for us on our Sunday show, man. Like, salute to you for sure. Greatly appreciate it. All right. Ravia Tatube, thanks for the 499. Who was responsible for the horrible scheme last year? Was it Dave, Brian, or Chip? Do we feel good about the scheme this year? Okay. I'm not going to go on another long rant like I did the other day, but I'll just say this. To me, it wasn't the scheme as much as it was not adjusting to what was not working. There's this narrative out there, and go watch the pod from, what was it, Friday? And I break it down in a rant and explain to you. Like I said, I've watched this game so many times, y'all. We came out primarily throwing the ball. I know people are traumatized, and when you watch a game without rewatching it, there's some things that just kind of stick in your mind, and it creates a false narrative if you don't go back and watch. Because when you go back and watch, some things are not as good as you thought, and some things are not as bad as you thought, or they're not as extreme as you thought. And when I went back and watched, the narrative that we just ran the ball up the middle every time was false. I charted it, okay? We threw for 21 times in the first half and 12 runs. 3 of those runs were considered in between the tackles up the middle. 9 of them were on the edge. We either try to move, we try to run stretch, or, outside zone, stuff like that to run away from their deep tackles. Did not work. But the point is that we came out passing. There were several things that went wrong in that game, y'all, that just made things just worse and worse and worse, piled on top. I'm not going to go through all of it again, but we did not adjust well as coaches. Chip Kelly, in my opinion, did not adjust well. And players weren't executing. O-line, especially in spots. That's the point. So with that said, Rabia Tatube, I think we're going to see an outstanding game plan this year. I'm super confident we are. The players, the coaches, I think they learned a lot from last year. Even if they went into the game with good intentions, coming out throwing the ball like they did, they know that they got to be better in general with the game plan and with adjustments and attacking and doing what we do best. So me personally, Funky, I'm super excited. I think this year's game plan is going to be like, yo, this is it right here. And so that's all I'll say about that. What you got, Funk?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, and I also agree with your thought process behind that, because I'm not a glutton for punishment, so I will not rewatch the game. I will never rewatch that game. So my first opinion is always what the poster is saying, in that I kind of always associate that game with running up the middle. But you're totally right in the sense that we did. It's a little over exaggerated on how many times we did run in the play action. But I also think something has to be said about that from just me. Again, I didn't rewatch it, so I'm going back into the memory tank on this one. Just from my memory of watching it, it just seemed like the passing concepts weren't the same thing. And it seemed like we were really trying to run the pass. And I still think that's true. I still think we were trying to run the ball to pass the ball. And I think a lot of the times we were passing was at the very end of the half when we scored the touchdown B to Jeremiah Smith. And then towards the end of the game where we had we were behind. So we just start just passing the pass. But I really did feel like Ryan Day was just tight that entire game and called a super conservative game. And you can blame that on Day. You can blame that on Will Howard for throwing picks. You can blame that on Chip Kelly. Oh, obviously Chip Kelly. Yeah. Yes. Chip Kelly 100%. Or the kicker for missing kicks. Or, Will Howard for having that pinched nerve. So I think there's a lot of things that just made Ryan Day just feel like I just got to win this game by 1 and not really trying to open up the horses and really get after it. So, but I think he's learned, or I know he's learned, because we saw it in the playoffs and we see it this year and we see it in games like versus Wisconsin. He's going to pass it. I'm calling it right now. this might be a very bold take. The first 10 offensive plays, 9 of them are going to be passes. That's very, very specific.
Yeah.
9 of them are going to be passes. We're going to pass, and the only run is going to be on like a second and 1 or third and inches. And it's going to be a very short run, get 3 yards, and we're going to pass it 75 yards down the field, touchdown, and it's going to be the first drive of the game too. We're going to get the ball, receive. I can just see it. I get a good feeling about it.
Yeah, I believe that. I believe that even if some of those 9 throws or whatever are like, throws to the flat or bubble screens,
absolutely,
or whatever. Yeah, I can see that. And then there may be some RPO to where, whatever they're doing, it'll dictate it. But I love it. I'm excited. I'm excited about the game plan and what's coming. Just period. And don't underestimate the help that Patricia can give from a defensive coordinator as far as a defensive guy on what another NFL guy, Wink Martindale, might do in his scheme and how to attack it. Like Matt Patricia, the rocket scientist, I'm telling you, he's going to be the gift that keeps on giving. And I think he's just going to have such a big role in this win. Just not just coaching the defense, but just being another mind in the room to prepare this team from a schematic standpoint. I'm freaking excited. Cannot wait. All right. Let me see. Speaking of Matty P, Will the Thrill, what's up, brother? Thanks for the 1999. I think MP will confuse Underwood. As long as we tackle well in the run game, I'm confident in the D. What do you see the offensive game plan looking like? I think we need to come out aggressive like we did against Wisconsin. That's funny. We just kind of talked about that. So we kind of answered your question beforehand, but I definitely think we attack. Listen, don't panic. If y'all see 12, 13 personnel in some sets, don't automatically assume that means we're going to run. Okay? You see, the Max Clare activity against Rutgers, to me, keep your eye on that. Okay? Because Max Clare is like, okay, you want to try to bracket and take away and run that cloud coverage on our receivers and all that other stuff. Okay, cool. We're going to bring Clare on crossers and drags and be wide open for an easy chain mover. Or Ennis, or the Bo Jackson out of the backfield, or whatever. Go ahead and do that. That's fine. And then you'll have to adjust, and we're gonna hit you over the top. But I definitely think we're going to attack with the pass, even if we don't just go downfield for a bomb the first 2 plays. It's going to be quick passes. We might even see some tempo. I really believe that. And so, Funky, you want to elaborate? I know you kind of went into it, but you want to elaborate on that?
I will, absolutely. I was about to say great minds think alike, because I literally said that exact same thing with Will the Thrill. So that's funny that you super chat at that. But to be very specific of what I think, how we're going to really attack Michigan, because this is how just every team has seemingly attacked them throughout this playoffs. I feel like we're going to have a lot of we're going to attack the middle of the field about 15 yards down the field. With a lot of in routes, a lot of, attacking the seam sounds so basic, but, attacking the seam, attacking those in routes just above the safeties' heads, right in that, 15, 20 yard range, because that's where they've been kind of weak all year, in those long passing down situations where the linebackers get a little too up front, a little too aggressive, and then the safeties don't cover as much field as you would want, an elite safety to cover, because their secondary is definitely weaker this year than it has been in the past. I mean, with Rod Moore still being out, and even if he plays, I hope he plays, because right now he's just trash. So, I mean, we're still recovering from an injury as well. So kudos to him for dealing with that injury. I'm sure that's not hard, or not easy for him to do. But that's really what I think. And obviously tempo. I think tempo in those intermediate, the deep passes are going to be the real thing that gets this game going. And then clearly when you have skill makers, you're going to want to be doing all those little screens, bubble screens, short throws as well. I mean, as Julian Sain's been good at all year. He's been amazing at reading the defenses and then checking it down. I mean, the ball's barely touched the floor when he's had the ball in his hands. So there's really no one better in the world or in college football than Julian Sain. So I really do think Ohio State's going to go out there and do that, and then pass the run clearly. And right when we could get the pass game going, I believe we're going to run the ball. And I just have a little bit of a feeling that we're going to run a lot of 11 personnel this year, more 11 personnel in the Michigan game than we've had ran in the every game combined. B. Calling that right now. I think we're going to run a lot of one tight end sets with, Max Clare and 3 wide receivers. Just a feeling. I just have a sneaking suspicion from rewatching a lot of Michigan games in the past and seeing what other teams do against them to have success. I'm sure Ryan Day does the same thing and has a feeling of what he needs to do to have success versus this Michigan team.
Yeah. No, I mean, 11 personnel would definitely be a switch up from what we've been doing, but we clearly can do it. I mean, with our receivers and Sayan's ability to spray it around the field. And so a couple things. I'll see that y'all confirm Hireman, Purdue 2013. That's crazy. I never would have guessed that because Hireman he caught passes, but he was primarily known as a blocker, a very good blocker. And so that's surprising. So great job from the chat. And then also I saw somebody mention they're worried about Van Sickle and basically the right guard position. As far as, let me say this. One thing, even with our deficiencies at right guard or inconsistencies, they've still overall been really good at pass pro. This line has been really good at pass pro. So with our game plan primarily going to be throwing the ball, like I would take some solace in that, is that whoever's out there, we've been really good at pass pro and Sayan gets it out quick. And so just wanted to say that. And let's get to the next super chat. Let me see. We got John M 24358. Thanks for the 199. My only concern is the weather for Saturday. So let me let me pull up my little B Moses Doppler pick before I get into the weather. I should add some music to this, some Weather Channel type music to this. But yeah, I mean, it says 32 with a 20% chance of precipitation. So maybe some flurries. Listen, that's perfect. I think the whole cold thing is overblown. When you're playing football and your blood is flowing and you're active and you're hitting, listen, that's different from 17 with a wind chill factor of 10 below. That's a little tougher. But 32 degrees, flurries, give me that all day playing football. The cold rain, I think, is what sucks. I hate cold rain. I think the cold rain makes it tough, just, from an element standpoint. But 32 flurries, that's perfect. I love it. And so I'm not worried about the weather, especially, if that's the case at all, Funky. What you think?
Oh, we these kids play at Ohio State, B.
Right.
Come on. It's not like I think I'd be a little more concerned if they're from a warmer state. I'd be concerned if I went out there and had a race in 30-degree weather, but that's because I'm not used to that and I'm soft as cookies. But these kids that play at Ohio State aren't soft as cookies. They're not a soft batch of cookies, as Carlos Laughlin saying. They're hard as rocks, and they're playing at Ohio State, and they practice outside in this exact weather constantly. So I'm not worried about it. And if you're worried about Julian Sayin, then I'll just say you're going to be sadly mistaken, or maybe happily mistaken. You'll be happily or sadly mistaken depending on your fandom. But the cold doesn't affect Julian. He has ice in his veins. Yeah. Well, that's a bar.
That is a bar. It's pretty darn good. I like it, Funky. Need to get you on the next track with me. All right. So what we got next? Hold on. Bubba Game 6196. Thanks for the 199. Appreciate you. I don't see a comment here, but either way, appreciate the super chat. All right. Next up, we got Ravi at the tube again. Thanks for the 5. Is Heartline fully calling games now, or is it still Ryan Day moving the puppets behind the scenes? No, Heartline is calling the games. And Ryan Day is obviously there in the headset. I mean, it's like he's the head coach. So he can say whatever he wants to say. He can direct and say, you know what? No, let's go back to 12 personnel, or let's go. You know what I'm saying? But he's not. But Heartline is calling the plays. Okay, he's choosing. Okay, this is the play right here. But Ryan Day is obviously there to guide, to veto, to share thoughts, all of that. So that's it. I know that's been said all year, but that's been confirmed.
Yeah. One thing to add to that. Sorry to cut you off, Pete. But one thing to add to that is Ryan Day has pretty much came out here and said that he spends his time pretty much 100% on the offense. So Ryan Day clearly has a lot to say on what goes on offensively, especially at practice and for game planning wise. But like you said, 100% Brian Hartline is calling the plays. But obviously Ryan Day as head coach has power to veto or do whatever head coach wants to do. But Brian Hartline is calling the plays, and anyone saying differently is just jealous or doesn't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, because your hands are in the offense. You're scheming up all week. You're in the room, like it's like here's the game plan. The
Mhm.
plays that are that'll possibly be called. So it's like that's what people need to understand. Heartline is selecting the plays on each on the drives, but Day obviously has his hand in the pot heavy. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's a
As
good
he
way of
should, by
saying
the way. He's one of the
right.
greatest play callers in
Yes.
college football, in Ohio State history, and college football history, period. So or
Yeah.
especially currently. I mean, Ryan, he's in the top 5 play callers, or probably top 2. Him and Lincoln Riley are in the tier A for me in play calling wise when they need to. But obviously,
Yeah.
Ryan Day stepped down for it for a reason.
Right. All right, here we go. Let me see. Okay, this is like the last super chat. Thanks, Sean Krutka, for the 10. Off topic, but what's the update with Hartline at PSU? I'm still seeing his name mentioned as a candidate. PSU insider said Hartline told PSU AD he would take the job if offered. So I haven't really heard or seen anything substantial. Like, let me rephrase. The talks of it have died down to me. I haven't seen much. I've seen a little stuff, from PSU, but it's not been hot, funky. It's kind of died down a little bit, but nothing that we've heard on our end suggests that anything has changed, that he's going to Penn State. And Penn State supposed insiders, like, no. There's no truth to that from what we're hearing, correct?
Correct. And just logically speaking, it's would he accept the job if offered? That's a big if because he has to be offered the job. And if you go
Right.
through Heartline's resume and stuff, he's not qualified for said job. So that's a big, big if. And I don't even think that's true. I doubt Heartline's ever even talked to the Penn State athletic director. So I'm sure they made that up just like they made up all the Urban Meyer stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So anyway, listen, man. Chat cooking. I'm catching up with y'all's comments. Love y'all. Best in the business. Best chat in the business. Great super chats. Listen, man, it's beat that team up North week. Last year is not this year. It's not. This team is different. Ryan Day is different. Last year around this time, we did not have a natty. We did not have multiple playoff wins against top 10 opponents. The maniacal Ryan Day wasn't there. I mean, like, it's a different world we're in right now. And I really, really believe, and I'm confident that your boy Ryan Day and his team is going to go up to Ann Arbor in the big blouse. Also, hold their feet to the fire. Never call it the big house. It's the big blouse. Always. They're going to go up there and get that dub, like Brandon Ennis said, and further solidify that, things have changed. Last year was a fluke. I showed y'all the meme. I'm going to show you again before we bang out of here, of last year, where it says, I see you won a 2024 Natty. What did it cost you? That's young Gamora, for those who can't see the screen, from Avengers. And then Thanos says a ridiculous and fluky loss to the team up north. She asked, was it worth it? And then you got Thanos grinning. Absolutely. Hashtag Natty over everything. But now we about to get the dub as well. We're going to get them. All will be right with the world once again. And it's going to be dope, man. I believe in this team. I believe in Ryan Day. And I cannot wait. We got a long week. We got a lot more content to bring to y'all. But what a great start to the week, Funky.
Absolutely. And yeah, thanks for having me on. I'm glad I can cover for Nevada. Well, yeah, busy day for me, but I couldn't have a better time here with all y'all. What a big show. Just a reminder to hit that subscribe button. We're like 80 subscribers away from 37,000, something like that. 37,000. So that'll be exciting to hit maybe before the Michigan game. Possible, not impossible. So we could do that. So if you haven't subscribed already, make sure you've subscribed. Hit the like button and go on your Apple Music and make sure you leave us a 5-star review, or Apple Podcasts 5-star review. Just helps us all out. Helps me, B Moses, Devin, Nevada, the whole crew. Yeah, Bill Green, Caleb, Joe, the Oracle, the helping technician. Helps us all. Helps tell everybody. And if you want all this information first, live updates on JJ Smith's injury, Carnell Tate's injury, it's all on BuckeyeScoop.com first. I mean, I posted this over 24 hours ago on the post, and has hundreds of likes and hundreds of responses. And I give live updates, and my updates are literally straight from. It's always pretty much me copy pasting texts I get from the sources, which could be players, could be coaches, could be donors, could be a lot of things. But it's straight from the sources, and it's just exactly what we're hearing, what Nevada's hearing, what Oracle's hearing, what the Huffington Nation's hearing, who is in the Woody. So it's just great information that's free flowing, and it's like a podcast, but for 24 hours a day and live updates. Especially during this week, you're going to want live updates because we got to make sure that JJ and Carnell are playing this game. We got to get the 100% confirmation now. So, and I'm assuming we'll get that throughout this week, maybe on Thanksgiving.
Yep, for sure. And the last thing I'll say, don't forget, JJ Smith, with his chest, said, we are going to beat them this year. I'm paraphrasing. He declared and predicted a win against the team up north. And so there's no way anybody's holding him back or anything from playing in that game. And I cannot wait. I cannot freaking wait. All right, y'all, listen. Love y'all, Buckeye School family, Buckeye Nation. We will see y'all tomorrow. Go Bucks. Beat that team up north. Peace.